Hi subscribers! Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm bringing a piece of news that has shaken the whole entertainment world. Yaman broke a very long silence and made a confession no one saw coming. His words were direct, full of nostalgia, and above all, waiting. He says there is a part of his heart that is still empty and that it will remain empty until that person returns. So let's sort this out, because what's behind it is intense. The confession that changed everything. Can, who has always kept his private life behind closed doors, opened a huge crack this time. He didn't speak like someone throwing a pretty line for headlines, but like someone still trapped in a story without an ending. He made it clear. He is waiting for someone, and when that person comes back, he wants to erase the past and start from zero. In other words, this isn't a passing nostalgia. It's an open invitation to return. Who is he waiting for? That's where social media exploded. Some believe he's referring to an old love that never truly ended. Others say it's someone he could never speak about publicly. A person who remained a secret for years. People close to him insist Can is thinking of one woman only, someone who marked key moments in his life and, they say, left an imprint impossible to erase. The tone of his message doesn't sound like a reproach. It sounds like
sadness, longing, and an unfinished story. I'll turn the page.
But only if she comes back. The most interesting part is that Can isn't only waiting, he's challenging the past. His message seems to say, come back, and you'll see, now everything can be different. And according to people around him, this lines up with a period of strong personal change. In recent months, he has reportedly cleaned up his life, rethought his career, left some commitments behind, and even changed cities, as if he were mentally preparing for something big. Backstage rumors. A direct message? Here comes another layer. Celebrity gossip outlets claim those words weren't only for fans. They were actually meant to reach that person directly. One journalist, speaking anonymously, summed it up like this. Can had been thinking about the same person for months and decided to break the wall with a clear signal. I'm here. If you want to come back, the door is open. So it wasn't just an emotional outburst. It was a call, erasing the past to start again. And this is the most talked about line. When that person returns, he wants to erase the wounds and restart everything. It sounds like a mature decision from someone who doesn't want to repeat old mistakes, but to rebuild something. Even friends say Can has lately become more introspective, more sensitive, and has slowed down projects because he's in a phase of total redefinition, almost as if a return could change his life overnight. Reunion or final goodbye? Opinions are split. Some see this as the beginning of a romantic comeback many people have wanted for years. Others think it's his way of closing the cycle, finally saying what he never said and saying goodbye. But the one sure thing is that Can is waiting for someone. And he's doing it with an intensity we haven't seen in a very long time. And now, the big question. All eyes are on that mysterious person. Who is it? Did she read the message? How will she react? The press is watching closely. Fans are on fire. And the story has suddenly come back to life. If you want us to follow this step by step and analyze clues and reactions, leave your opinion in the comments. Do you think a reunion is coming? Or is this a final farewell? See you below. Reading the comments you left about Yaman and Demet, I realize that behind all the noise, there's something pretty clear. People are confused, tired, and at the same time emotionally hooked to a story that belongs more to memory than to the present. Fans don't know who to believe, someone says, and I feel the same. But if I focus on Demet, what I see is a woman who has had to carry not only her career, but also the shadow of a narrative that won't stop chasing her. The idea that she is half of something the public refuses to let go of. That Romanian comment asking, almost desperately, to stop mixing Demet with Can because he supposedly said there was never any relationship, and because the ethical thing would be to talk about Can without dragging her in, really stands out. I don't know if Can said it exactly like that, but the demand feels legitimate for a simpler reason. Demet is not anyone's appendix. Sometimes I get the sense that part of the fandom looks at her as if she were obliged to stay frozen in the 2017-2020 chapter forever, as if her real life had to obey the on-screen chemistry of Erken Sikush, and that feels deeply unfair. The chemistry on screen was real, yes, but it isn't a life sentence. I also notice in the comments a kind of constant audit of Demet's timing and choices. People argue about dates, claim to know exactly how long certain periods lasted, and even suggest she had time to keep him, or to go with him if she truly wanted to. That shocks me, because honestly, who can know from the outside what really happened in those years? It's a clear example of how the public tries to turn Demet's love life into an equation. If A happened in a certain year, then B should have followed. And if it didn't, it must be because she didn't want it, or he didn't. But life doesn't work that way. People don't love, stay, or leave according to a neat logical line meant to satisfy onlookers, especially not under fame, pressure, schedules, and brutal exposure. What worries me most is that these readings end up doing two things at once. They reduce Demet to a romantic role and then judge her for not fulfilling it. From my view, Demet has been trying for a long time to break that cage. She's chosen projects that take her out of the mold, building an identity broader than the bright girl of romantic drama. People may like it or not, but I see it as a clear search for artistic independence. That's why it's hard for me to believe she'd be interested in reviving a rumor out of nostalgia or marketing. If anything, Demet has shown she doesn't want to live tied to one single storyline. At the same time, I understand the emotional side of the audience. I read supportive comments like "better late than never," or people talking about mistakes, reflection, and correction. Even if those messages are aimed more at Can, they reflect something that affects Demet too. The public wants redemption, a beautiful closure, an explanation that turns chaos into a fairy tale. But I don't think Demet has anything to redeem in the romantic sense many expect. She doesn't owe anyone an explanation for moving on, falling in love with other people, or not staying where the audience dreamed she would. That expectation that she completes someone else's story is far too heavy. There's also something not said outright in the comments, but that I feel underneath. Demet is still being used as a mirror to talk about Can. When Can succeeds abroad, people ask, why didn't she go with him? As if her worth depended on following another person's path. That feels like the cruelest trap. Demet doesn't have a smaller career because she isn't in Italy or Spain. She has a different career with her own decisions, rhythms, and reasons. Measuring her through Can is simply not seeing her. So when someone says, where and when did he say that? Or, it's all a lie, I don't read it only as skepticism toward the rumor. I also read it as fatigue toward a machine that periodically reopens the same topic and places Demet at the center of a discussion she neither chose nor controls. That, to me, is the most unfair part. Demet gets trapped in a media cycle fueled by her name even when she says nothing. People assign intentions to her, invent steps she never took, and turn her silence into a calculated strategy. Maybe she's just living her life. In short, my feeling is that Demet Özdemir is in a different phase now, and the fandom sometimes won't let her be there. Nostalgia for the fictional couple is understandable, and so is affection for that story. But turning it into a permanent demand on Demet is a mistake. If there's nothing with Can today, so be it. It doesn't diminish what they were on screen. And if something existed and stayed in the past, it shouldn't become an eternal debt. I prefer to look at Demet as she is now, an actress trying to grow beyond the ship, a woman who doesn't have to fit anyone's emotional script, and a person who deserves to be named for her own path, not as the echo of a story the public still doesn't want to let go of.